Welcome back to Football Coach, episode 24. Signing day is upon us. I have just 8 scholarships remaining, so the decision making that has gone into what I've already whittled all the way down to just 21 targets remaining. We're going to explain basically all of the 21 and then just go see what the results are, not breaking it down any further at that stage. But here is our 21 targets. First off, we have still some positional needs, and it's going to amount to some of the guys higher up the list. But then we're pretty well off. We are in a pretty strong state across all of our positions and don't have any glaring needs besides a couple spots. Therefore, I had the freedom to kind of go after some transfer targets, and some of the transfer targets are unrealistic, but my oh my, what a huge coup they would be if we get them, especially if somebody else maxes out their 85 scholarships and defaults down to us. So the number one guy on our list is a true freshman, 77 overall with high potential quarterback. We're only third on the list. It's unlikely. But just behind him is a true freshman, 79 overall, a potential wide receiver who we were only 700 points behind on. And with an NIL deal and our biggest pitch, we've got a plus 758. Now, USC is likely to pick up 200 to 300 more points. If they add an NIL, there's no chance. But we might be able to overtake UCLA. Arizona State at this point doesn't feel they're in it or haven't offered. We're in line to maybe be second, maybe, just maybe, get ahead, especially if the estimate's off. Probably not. And that would be a massive, massive addition for us. So, similarly, a linebacker, 76 overall, a potential that we are third on the list and in the mix to at least stay third on the list. Tiny chance to sign, and then a redshirt freshman. So this first group are just some really unrealistic guys. We're trying. Third on his list as well. Then comes the positions of need. The only kicker, not a single high schooler, were we in contention for, or they were so bad that a walk-on would be better. Not a single transfer came available to us, bar one. This is the only player, period, that's not a one-star pitiful potential signing, as in low 60s. This is the only player that has no other offers. And that's not to say that he'll remain with no offers. If Minnesota or Georgia Tech do offer, Georgia Tech in particular, guaranteed signing. We gave a big pitch to try to jump Minnesota so that we're at least second in the line, and then just fingers crossed Georgia Tech doesn't offer, and then we'll get his signature. Otherwise, we are going to be taking a walk-on at kicker. Then the biggest position of need, besides the avoiding a walk-on situation, is the offensive line. We need to sign 2, all said and done. There's only 3 targets left. It's been a really difficult year to get after offensive linemen. We've already got one coming in, high school kid, but we've got a better overall starting, but durability is a little iffy. Potential is still fairly good, but that 60 overall is definitely a head start for an offensive lineman, at least for us it is, and we'll get him signed. So that's one, but we need a second one. The Hail Mary is the first time, I think, or maybe season 1 we might have gotten somebody like this, but it's a Washington State redshirt junior. The guy's got 1 year of eligibility left, but there's 3 that have not offered. We're going to just jump in. Yes, we've given a pitch, but this is really going to come down to, as it was the final week, we haven't recruited him at all. But at 77 overall, even with terrible potential, the guy is good enough to be in the first 5 as a starter and give us that 1 year, and then he's gone. Because of lack of choices, that's what we have. And he might be about an 80 next year, which is good, and we could use that. Behind them is a good potential guy, but a low current ability, 55, but he's got good durability, and that would be an automatic signing. So if we don't get this guy, then we'll take this one instead, but I have a maximum of 2. We've got one really good high school safety coming in, but I need 2 signings this year, so I have one of these 2 guys coming in. The one that we're targeting pitching wouldn't even do much good on him. It could do a little bit of good, but he's a 76 overall already, but he's low durability and already a redshirt sophomore. Like, not even somebody I'm very excited about getting. He would be down the depth chart a little ways, which is why I didn't even end up pitching him. We're more likely to go after this 66 overall true freshman who will be a redshirt freshman next year, but he too lacks a little bit in durability, and his 66 overall for safeties, not great. It's a little bit ahead of the high schoolers that we're able to get, but not far ahead. But our options are limited at this stage, and so we've got to get one. That's why he's way higher up the list he would be otherwise. That brings us into our next grouping. This is the tier 2 transfers. These are the guys that are elite quality but lacking in some way. Durability, it's a redshirt freshman, but the durability's off. We're second on his list. This one, it's a redshirt sophomore, but the overall and the potential are very high, and the durability is low. Here, it's our second stab at a senior, or next year senior anyway, but 79 overall with F potential and high durability. Therefore, he's almost certainly going to get at least a +1, +2, +3 maybe, and so he'll be into the low 80s. We haven't had a tight end in a while. I think we've only ever had one that's topped 80, so it would be a really good addition, even though it's a one and done for us. And then that brings us into some more practical options from there in our final grouping. Mostly high schoolers. There's a couple true freshmen that will have redshirted this year at the tail end of this next list, but these guys are all kind of one and the same. They have high potential. We're talking about B pluses or A minuses or even A's, but the difference and what kind of ranks Paul above Hargrove above the rest of the page 2 guys is durability. Durability is something that I have not spent enough time focused on, and I'm really starting to realize just how important it is. These A+ durability guys, if they're starting 1 or 2 points below, or one's an A- and they're a B+, prioritizing the high durability over the low durability as an important factor in that decision-making process of who I'd like to sign. There's only so many positions. Now, there's a lot of guys above in this upper 13 that we're not going to sign, right? There's guaranteed 3. There's probably a 4th or a 5th at most. So we're looking at anywhere from 3 to 5 players in this bottom list, and none of them are high needs. All of them are just good additions. So we open with a guy who's a little bit lower on the overall, but that high durability, and then high durability. And then as we go down bit by bit, we get to the guys at the bottom who have tremendous potential, but poor durability. They're at the bottom of the list and are very unlikely to sign. But you can see that only a couple of these are locks, guaranteed signings. It's possible we won't get 8. It's unlikely, though. It's very likely that we will get our 8. We will get to our 85. Here's the only 2 true freshmen, and they have good durability. Good durability. But they're already a year older than the other guys, and they're not really very far ahead. But we're looking at only 2 players that we're trying to recruit in the 50s. This one might have a potential, but he's got mediocre durability. Also, just a reminder, our NIL, it's only being divided into 2 places. We have convincing our offensive linemen to stay, cost us $1.8 million in NIL. The remaining 1.2, all of it has gone into the pitch, our point to center field moment. 79, a potential true freshman, Braden Trotter, wide receiver. And that's because of how close we were in that battle to maybe actually win it. But even after a plus 758, it's likely we're still going to come up short. All right, well, we're already seeing from these guys at the top of the list that other offers did come in. So that first group, right, is numbers 1 through 4. Numbers 1 through 4 are that first grouping, and all of them ended up with at least 2 other offers. So we're unlikely to score any of them even trotter, it looks like we are likely still behind. So quick reveal on these suggests that yeah, we easily missed out. We were well behind, almost 3,000 points down, 3,000 points down. But here is the one. Here's the one that we took the shot in the dark to try to compete on, and they've got UCLA ahead of us. We were just behind, but we invested a whole lot of points, and we didn't even overtake UCLA. We end up 1,300 behind USC, so that means no additional NIL money will be spent. Everyone else, there was no NIL offer, so at least we're saving some money, but we don't get any of our A-tier guys. That gets us into our needs, and for this one, again, we were third on the list. We were trying to jump Minnesota to get second, but Mississippi State was behind us on the list, well behind us, and we went pretty heavy into this guy to try to jump Minnesota. They gave us a 40-40 shot with Minnesota, and that top team, whoever the number one was, did not give an offer, meaning we do have a legitimate chance at signing him, but it involves trying to jump Minnesota, and might be easier said than done. 7 points! 7! We've lost close ones. We've lost close ones, big ones. This isn't a massive signing. However, we only have 2 kickers, including Moy, who we've just now signed. They're both going to be red shirt freshmen, both of them. And I think we're looking at a 73 rating for both guys and somewhere around that B potential for both guys. So we now legitimately have 2 guys to fight it out. We have 2 guys that we theoretically could train, one as a kicker and one as a punter, and have them do opposite jobs for the next 4 years. That's a big signing, because there's no telling just how bad it might have been with a walk-on coming in. Yeah, it's Georgia Tech, who was well ahead. We were 8 points behind, 800 points behind them, but 7 points ahead of Minnesota. And there, yes, we were confirmed. We were behind. All they did was target him and offer a scholarship. They did not pitch. Neither of them did. They still managed to gain 400. But we turned that into 519. All right, well, on to the offensive line. We know we need 2, and it looks like Rowe got an offer from Miami that we're not going to get. We know we get the first one that we wanted, but it wouldn't be showing me this guy. It would not be showing me him if we were going to get this one. So, yeah, 1,500 behind on Miami. But we do get our third option dropping way down into that lower overall, but at least he's got some potential and durability. And that's the typical guy we've been signing in prior years. I've just been trying to move into a higher category, get guys who are starting 5 points higher and still have potential, or bring in transfers that are definitely a step ahead. That's still beyond us at the moment. Offensive line is so hard to recruit. Again, I've mentioned this before, but offensive line is probably, besides kicker, the hardest position to recruit, because every team has such a great need, right? Quarterback, you need one plays on the field. You have 5 offensive linemen at the same time, right? They're not divided into centers and tackles and guards. It's just offensive line across the board. As a result, that demand, right? 5 on the field at a time, 8 in the depth chart, 10 in the depth chart, 9, whatever it is. It's a crazy high amount. And so there's so much overlap, team by team, player by player, that it's near impossible to not find yourself battling it out for a player. Or you get the leftovers of the leftovers of the leftovers that nobody wanted. And that's what we've been stuck with for years. This is what we've been stuck with for years. Getting the guys who are way down on overall ability, but have good potential because, they're so bad that the only way is up. Okay, huge miss here. This is now our tier B guys. There was 3 of... No. Sorry. Safety. The other position of need. We need one of them. We did not get the first. We will get a second true freshman, a little higher than what we normally signed at 66, but not great. But the potential is good. The durability is okay. It was a need position. We got our need fulfilled. And that took care of all the needs. We got our one kicker, we got our two offensive linemen, and we got our safety. Not necessarily the ones we wanted, except for in the kicker's case. But we did get the 4 players of need, and that's all we've gotten so far. Now we're into the tier B guys. There's 3 of them that have very good overall abilities that we're hoping to sign, and these first 2, way too many offers came in at the end, and we ended up last of those groups. And this one, Miami also came in on, so it looks like we're not going to get this one, but they give us a decent chance, meaning it was somewhat close. 500 points, but still did not get. So we didn't get any of the tier A or B guys, and that turns us back into what we normally sign. Only difference this year being we have focused more heavily on, yes, potential, but also durability being a key. So we're going to get the first guy, D lineman, with the fantastic A+ durability. That's number 5. Looks like number 6 is not going to happen. We've been number 2 on his list for ages, this quarterback. Hawaii never offered intel right before signing day. We had been so far behind. This guy has been on my list from very, very early. I have not always pitched him, but I pitched him fairly frequently. The B+ was throwing me off for a long time. I did not look at the durability early enough. Otherwise, I would have prioritized him over some of the other guys. We had like a 63A that I prioritized like crazy. He was number 1 on my list for a long time after some other early signings. And then he has poor durability. So then I pivoted towards this guy, and it looks like I might have pivoted too late as we end up 1,000 points behind Hawaii. I probably could have overcome that over the course of the season and been number 1 on the list. So still at 5. And here's our 3, the next guys coming down the list. 2 cornerbacks with high potential. One of them a true freshman, but he's 5 points ahead at least. And all of them have the A potential. We got a B- durability, a B durability, and a B-. And of course they are the signings. Number 1 on one of their lists. But we came down the list. The wide receiver is a good one. Just that overall is that little bit further down than some of the other signings I've had. But with potential and the durability and the loyalty, he's still a fairly good get. None of these are bad. They're all A potentials, right? I would have been so excited about these in prior seasons. I'm just trying to aim higher. And falling back to these kind of signings, these were the signings I was super stoked about just a couple of years ago. So not a bad class at all, but we missed out on all the big A and B targets. And so no breakthrough recruits. And we've had a few of those breakthrough recruits over the years. One of those is somebody we just had to spend $1.8 million on to keep at the program for another year. But overall recruiting class, tons of A potential guys. I think in general we did find a little bit higher quality, right? I'm used to getting a lot of high 50s that we hope make 60 coming out of high school and into the team. And now we're starting with a lot that are already into the 60s and mid 60s, upper 60s even. So I am finding things a little bit easier. We are recruiting a little bit better year by year as I learn the tricks, as we pick up various things. Oof, that's a rough one. Low durability. That's something I did not watch for enough early on. But overall, it's a good, strong recruiting class. We do have 10 3-star guys, and the rest are 2 stars for a total of 20 signings. We have 2 true freshmen. The only transfers we got this year. So we went, 3 true freshmen. The rest were all high school seniors. So we've continued the trend of going young, of having really high potential, and we're starting to push up the overall ability, that starting number, a little bit higher than in prior years. USC ended up with the number 1 class ahead of Notre Dame and Ohio State. My alma mater there at number 5. So just 77 for the class, but a big part of that being that we only took on 20. Reason for that is not very many graduates, and we're right at that maximum number of 85. In fact, looking at it, like everybody's at their 85. That's what makes it shocking that I just can't seem to get. I mean, there's 184. There's 181 in North Carolina. There's an 83. There's a 78 for Ohio State, but for the vast majority of the teams, really all but 8 to 10, everybody's at 85. And that's why I was holding out hope on one of those tier A's or tier B's. We would get to maybe second, and that the team ahead of us would be maxed out, would be 85, and that guy would be down their list and not get signed. Not the case, though. Too good to be true. I want to draw a little comparison before we move on into the next year, just to see, because we just got ranked 77th for our recruiting class, and I think that's harsh because we had a good class, tons of potential, quite a bit of quality, but we didn't throw ourselves at stars unnecessarily when we did it in year 1, for example. So we're going to look at our newest rival, our home and away OOC opponent of Kansas, and look at their class. We were 77th. They were 75th. They got 24 recruits, though, so I mean that's one thing. They did add 4 more than we had. That does make additional points. But their highest recruit, a high schooler, but only a 59 overall, C+, D durability, tight end. Like, what's he going to do? There's a D lineman who starts a little bit higher in the overall department, but terrible durability and terrible potential. Here's a junior transfer. He's going to be going into his senior year unless he didn't play last year, and he'll be a redshirt junior. Probably a redshirt junior most likely, but we're talking about low potential, low durability. But yeah, okay, he's got a 78 overall. We got a quarterback who is a 73 overall, but he's already a redshirt sophomore and has low potential and poor durability. Offensive lineman who sucks, a linebacker who's not good, a linebacker who is a 69 overall, but he's going to be a senior. So they're picking up a lot of those upperclassmen ones where I went after 1 or 2 and didn't get, right? 2. Didn't get them for the first time, but I went for ones that were very much at that high end of would be easily amongst our starters. Here's the first guy with B potential, but he's only a 59 overall and only a C durability, and it's a linebacker. They've got 1. Oh, here's number 2. Yeah, it's a kicker. Good on you. You were able to outbid somebody else and sign a kicker. Well, in the end, I kind of did the same thing, but we got a 73 overall with a B potential as well. He was just a true freshman, where this is a high schooler. Not much difference between the two. And this has been their best recruit in the entire class. We're at number 12. Okay, a 61B high schooler with potential. Little bit of a gem, sure. Redshirt freshman running back 69B. Not bad. Durability, not great though. Junior college. There's an A+ offense. Oh, okay, I am jealous of that one. Already a 61 overall, so a little bit on that higher end. Our best was a 60. A+ potential, so fantastic. Durability, yeah, mediocre, but that's a great signing. But that makes 2. And that makes a handful of pretty okay ones. Redshirt sophomore running back transfer, like, not bad. Say there's 2 very good signings and a handful of okay signings. The rest are utter garbage. Worse than every single one of the signings we got. So 2 good, 5-ish okay, good, 2 great, 5-ish good. Rest are bad. Like, yet they're ranked 75th and we're 77th. And that's because they went purely after stars, and they got 18 3-star guys. The rest are only 2 stars. We ignore the stars, and we're finding better talent. So the recruiting class really just doesn't mean much. But this year, $36 million. We got the standard conference TV deal and booster finances, but we did for the very first time score an additional $4.5 million for succeeding at getting 90 plus yards through the air against UCLA, USC, and Clemson. We also cashed in on $13 million, which is actually $1 billion extra as well, for our two latest contracts with Clemson and then Kansas, for a very solid $36 million this year. Even though we only had one win, we did finish ranked 74th this last year, but that's still not enough to start increasing that prestige level. So far, of the $36 million, we have already spent about $14 million of that. And in that $14 million, we've recovered our NIL. We have covered the maintenance of any facilities that have been upgraded. And I've already taken care of the coaching staff balance remaining, which is down to that final 100K. But also, for the first time, as I continue to pay each year's salary and slowly just build up a little bit of reserve funds for coaching staffs as we go to make changes. For me, it's just one of those smart things to do. You get yourself out of a perpetual debt situation. It just makes sense to bank a little bit of money there. Anyway, for the first time, as I've added 2.9 million, right, the last 100K that we had, our regular salary is 2.6. So we now have 2.8 million in the bank, meaning next year we will come out with a positive balance for the very first time. Only by a couple 100K, but a positive balance. So we are coaching staff covered for the year to come. NIL spending covered for the year to come, the 3 million. And the facilities and academics maintenance covered, leaving me with an additional 22.3 million. Now, the stadium still locked halfway between 3 and 4, as is the college life and the marketing. It's time, though, that we get the stadium up to level 4. Reason being, our grade for stadium atmosphere has dropped. If you remember last year, our fan base finally dropped away from an A+ to an A. It did bring our stadium atmosphere down a level. So tier 4 will come with a little bit of a maintenance cost. However, it will get us back into that higher level stadium atmosphere. And we need to maintain that for recruiting purposes. We've got to start winning battles. Not just one a year, and not just for a very, very mediocre guy. We've got to start being able to win some of those battles more consistently if we are going to get to another level. The only other way to do anything right now would be to start farming victories against FCS opponents. And see what Oregon State did to FCS opponents, winning by like 50 points. Oregon State winning by like 50 points. I think that would be a good way to start farming a little bit of prestige and getting those couple wins we need each year. And bring that rank up a little bit. And with extra donors comes, or extra prestige does come extra donors. So might not be a terrible way to go. But it also requires the facilities. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Anyway, academics is almost to level 6. So let's get it to level 6. There's 9 more million. That brings our academics recruiting up to a D+. 40% chance now instead of a 35 for gold or diamond tiers. And we do have a booster change that's about to happen. Shoot, this year. Our gold guy, I think, is expiring this year. So he might not stay with us. That 40% chance, definitely helpful. But also the 12% experience gain bonus. We need every little bit. Because we're still trying to rely on those coaches. So level 4 for the stadium would be $7.5 million. And it would get us back to the B stadium atmosphere. The home field advantage stays the same. Seat capacity doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, it's the stadium atmosphere that we care about. So yeah, we're going to do it. It is now going to start coming with maintenance costs. But that gets us to level 4 there. Everything else is going to go into the facilities. Which gets us about a quarter, or maybe a little over a quarter, not quite a third, of the way towards level 9 for the facilities. 40% chance, and we drop the ball completely. we're now going to lose $2 million a year without our gold donor. He has departed the program due to recent financial difficulties, probably the extra $4.5 million he spent on us. Incoming bronze donor. So we now have 2 bronze donors. Still no realignment, but it's coming fairly soon now. 2035 is not that far away. I'm not going to be taking a new payout this year in the out of conference. We're going to make progress on fulfilling our contract with Oklahoma. We're going to finish up our contract with Kansas, giving us another chance at a win. And then also Nebraska, all 3 games on the road, though. That means we only have 4 home games, 8 away games in the coming season, and our winnable ones all on the road. Colorado, Kansas, Hawaii, Arizona. Could be a bit of a rough season for us. It could mean the exit of our coach. I'm okay with taking our chances on that. Let's get this thing out of the way. Get these out of the way a bit, and yeah, we're gonna do it. Josue Pryor has just topped 90, and he's not the only one. Shane Davis also reaching a 90 overall. We got an 88 overall, and Hunter Drake. Wow, we have some talented guys on our team. And then we're followed by a quad of 85s. Now, Pryor is the only non-senior at the top of this list. However, this is still phenomenal. Chappell, an 83 overall. He's already going to be the best quarterback we've ever had. Redshirt junior. What a strong development year. We've got a lot of guys. I mean, we're already at number 10, and we're still at 82. Cooper Knowles, 82. We've got an 82 for Schneiders. We have a tight end in the 80s. Harden, the experiment, is working out pretty well. Redshirt junior, he's an 80 overall. Only a +1. The low potential is showing. His development has been lower than others. Potential does matter. Crabtree, 80 overall, +6 for him as he goes into our senior year. We're still working on guys that are in 80. Ramachandran, Baez, 15 players that are in 80 plus. Many years of the first 7. Probably 3 of them. We were lucky to have more than 1 or 2 guys at an 80, or 3. This is double what we've had any season prior. We've got our max was like 7 last year, 6 the year before, something like that. And it doesn't end there, because now we've got a handful of 79s and lots of 78s. 24th player down the list is a 78. We would have killed to have more than 5 guys on the roster, 6 guys, 8 guys on the roster at 78 plus. 75 plus brings us all the way down to 36th on the roster. Macaulay with the promise, only a +3 though, 74. We'll have to look positionally to see just how bad that one is going to bite us in the butt, and then we have to forcibly play him to keep our promise. 70 overall is 56th though, and like every other year, there's always at least one below 60, but everybody else 60 plus. No gain for an A- potential. Wow, Damian Stratton. In the gain department, a +9 for Thapa. Thapa gets a +9, a 75 to an 84 overall offensive line. What fantastic. And the run blocking +10, pass blocking +9, and strength +9. Redshirt senior, of course, but Chappell, second biggest mover. Chun, a +7. He's struggled to gain a little bit the last couple of years. Suddenly, he's going to be quite good at a 76. Pryor, 4th on the list. Sean Mack. A lot of upperclassmen, but here's a good one. Mackay McLaughlin, redshirt sophomore D lineman, now a 78 overall. We've got a few years of him likely being a starter. Still getting +6s all the way down to 13th. +5s all the way through 25th on the roster. +4s gets us through 40th. Not counting that preseason yet, but now breaking things down. Andy Fletcher, senior year, you do seem to see a bigger gain going into senior year more consistently. Andy Fletcher, speed, evasion, and some accuracy, but he's still just a backup. The two future guys, only +2s and +1s for them. But Andre Chappell, we will train him further. He's got the durability, he's got the potential, and he's got 2 years as a starter. We want to take advantage of that. We will be strong at the quarterback position for the next 2 years. Running back. Yeah, bit of a problem. We will focus on McCauley because of the promise. He's got to play 30% of the snaps. We've got to get him to be good enough to be the starter. This is not a terrible year, but we had a 79 last year and finally showed what you can do with a better running back. The 73s to 76s every other year. This is looking a little bit worrying. And then the drop-off, right? This guy's under 70. So running back. Not as bad of a problem as most years, but definitely not looking like a great year. But wide receiver, a 90 and an 88 overall, and then very much quality behind them with 3 guys 78 plus. And then, yes, there's the drop-off. But the minimum is a 66. And only 3 seniors, Harper as well. But wide receiver, best it's ever been. So quarterback and wide receiver are going to be very good for us. Tight end, pretty good with an 82. And Schneider's only a junior. Offensive line, Pryor is going to be fantastic. Thapa should be very good. Unfortunately, it drops off after that. So we're going to have to find somebody up this list. Maybe like Howell so we can get 2 years out of it. Or Chun, who had a huge breakthrough. Give one or both of them a bit of a boost to try to get closer to at least matching Spivey. So those are our starters. So yeah, a little bit iffy there. Mitchell, he's only a C potential. Good development at the bottom end though. It's just that mid tier that did not do us much of a service. Kicker, both a 75. Okay, that very well could be in play. 75 is not terrible for 2 redshirt freshmen. Punt accuracy boost, kick accuracy boost. I'll check into that later, but we very well could have a one's the kicker and one's the punter approach. Defensive line, definitely better than a year ago. 3 guys very close to an 80. 2 of them are sophomores, and depth behind them, including a redshirt freshman who is already a 74. Linebacker, best year we've ever had. An 85, an 82, and an 80. Nice. Definitely some depth behind them. I mean, we've got a 70 all the way down to 8th on the list. Corner, 2 85s. They'll be solid. They'll lock down. And then we got quality behind them. Peyton Bailey, really disappointed on that one. I totally messed this up last year. This was the first time that I've made this mistake in all these years. Bailey played his 4 games. I didn't think he was on the depth chart. I missed it. I thought he was off the depth chart by 1 spot and was going to sit out the game. And then I thought he still had 1 to go. I thought he was at 3. And then all of a sudden I realized he was at 5. He had played. He was last on the depth chart for a couple games. And I didn't catch it, didn't notice it. But at 5, the redshirt situation was ruined. And now all of a sudden he's our 4th best cornerback with tremendous potential. And I only played him 5 games where he could have played more last year. And I messed up the red shirt. That's the first time I've messed that up. I ended up letting him play the last game of the season as well, because by that point it was the penultimate game when he hit that 5. And I messed up the red shirt. So he played 6 games last year. Safety. We are looking really, really strong. Our D-line, not great, but good enough. It's not a terrible year. It's a down year, but it's not a terrible year. The other 3, very strong. Kicker is down this year, though. The offensive line, some really good, some not so good. But tight end's good. Wide receivers, amazing. Quarterback is very good. And running back is okay. So there's, really outside of kicker, nothing's bad. We've got a chance to be quite competitive this year. Yet we have a difficult schedule, 4 home games. All of our winnable games are road games. Only 5 winnable games. I think we'll be lucky to get our 2 wins based on schedule. But based on team, these ratings are going to be something else. And we still have a preseason to make it even better. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.